We're going to show you our bandsaw blade sharpener today. We're going to show you our sawmill and how we self-propelled it. We're going to show you a lot of different things, so you're just going to have to stay tuned and watch them as we go. But this is our homemade bandsaw blade sharpener, and this is how it works. When I get all done with it running, then I'm going to explain to you how, if you want to build one, how you can build one. First thing you want to do is you want to mark that blade where the seam is, where it was welded together. You want to put it on that table, and that's the place that you want to start. You want to start right where the blade is put together. Got a little slot here, I slide them down in. It guides the blade. You can see the paint right here. That's going to be our first spot where we're going to start to sharpen. We're going to slide it on up. We're going to plug in our electric chainsaw sharpeners, what this thing is. And then I have a 12 volt PWM that's running on a 12 volt battery with a switch that turns it off and on. And when I get past this 14 number here, I put this little tag on there, and it goes right in the center of a tooth, and then when it gets all the way around, it comes back, it'll shut it off by itself. So the first thing we do is we make sure we got it around all our bearings and it's sitting down in the saddle. And then we're going to turn on our chainsaw sharpener. And then we're going to turn on our PWM. And we're going to watch this first joint where the seam is to make sure, because sometimes when they seam them together, it's a little difference right there, and if it hits that grinding wheel wrong, it'll break it. So we'll turn it on. We got it running on 19. And I'm going to put this in gear right there. Now here comes the seam. It did pretty good with the seam. That's a real critical spot, so you want to make sure that you don't, if it hit that grinding wheel wrong, it'll break that grinding wheel. And I have had some blades that I bought from different places that actually, when it hits that, it'll take that wheel and it'll just disintegrate that wheel. So this is a little 12 volt worm drive. This is a PWM, and this little knob here on the top is your variable speed, so you can speed it up or you can slow it down. I'm going to slow it way down. I'm going to slow it down to about a 7. That's a 7 right there. But where it works really, really good is if I run it about on a 19. That seems like a real happy spot for it. So when it gets around here, 14 teeth past that seam, which is that one right there, I put that on dead center of that tooth. And the reason that's dead center of that tooth is when it comes around and it hits this switch and it shuts the switch off, that chainsaw grinder is in the up position. So if you're out doing something and you want to walk away from it, you walk away from it, go do your thing for about 20 minutes until it gets all the way around and it shuts itself back off again. And the PWM shuts off, the chainsaw grinder's just sitting there spinning. Then it's not going to hurt a thing. So I buy these little bearings, 3/8 bearings, a 16, 14, ZZ, and you get them in packs of 10. So you see I got a bearing here that the blade's rolling on. I got a bearing here the blade's rolling on. I got a bearing here that's running on my wooden camshaft that's raising my motor up and down. These little deals here actually were that held on a rotary light on top of a service truck. And I just built a little arm And on the end of each arm, there's another little bearing that's guiding this blade as it goes around the table. So as it goes around, you get a pack of 10 of them, I think, for, oh man, they weren't expensive at all. They were real reasonable. In between this inside piece of metal is exactly the same as the outside, and it's welded down to this 1/4 inch tabletop that's removable. It's on a receiver hitch. Everything on this table has different positions where you can take the receiver hitch, pull it out, just like this vise. You can pull this vise out and put it into different, 6 of them all the way around the table. My son built this table, and it's just a really good table to build stuff on. In between of these 2 pieces of metal here is a 3/8 washer. Well, a 3/8 washer is 50 thousandths thick, and this blade is 43 thousandths thick. So that gives just enough room as it comes through here so that it'll slide, but yet there's enough friction that it'll stay in position. Once the cam moves it here, it'll stay in position. There's really not a lot to it. This is a little brass bushing and another little arm on here that's got a little oil spot where every blade I just put a drop of oil on it. I got another bronze bushing here, 3/8 bronze bushing. I put a little drop of oil on that. This is your height adjustment for your chainsaw sharpener as to how much of the gullet you want to actually grind out. This is a 7/8 pitch blade, so it's 7/8 of an inch between the top of every tooth. And this crankshaft right here is on 3/4 of an inch from center. So that's why you see it go back past, and it sets it where it needs to grind, and then it grinds the gullet. PWM, 12 volt. Most of these are, when you buy them, you can find them anywhere. You just look up a PWM. This one's about a 45 amp PWM. It's got the digital readout, which is really nice. Some don't have a digital readout. Some come with a forward and reverse switch. Of course, this one we're only going to run it in one direction, so you don't need a forward and reverse switch. But then this little potentiometer here speeds it up or slows it down depending on, you know, what you want to do with it. But there's not a lot to it. Little 12 volt battery that's running the PWM, 110 running the grinder. Of course, like everything else I've got around here, none of my batteries are any good. I'm battery poor, so I got to have a battery charger on everything. Imagine that. Anyhow, thought you might get a bang out of this. Stay tuned for what we're going to show you the next time. And if you got a band mill, they're pretty handy. Thanks for watching.